Welcome to the Social Ninjas podcast. I am your co-host, Kyle. Join with me as always, Jeremy. What is up, Jeremy?
Kyle. So I got to continue hyping you up. What's up, Kyle?
Thank you for that. We also have a very special guest with us today, and his name is Kartikeya. What's going on?
Thank you for having me, Kyle and Jeremy. Pleasure to be on the Social Ninjas.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Yep. And if you wouldn't mind, if you could just give us a little background on yourself and kind of what you're doing now.
So my name is Kartikeya Ladha, and I'm an author of Dream Beyond Shadows, which is a #1 best-selling book on Amazon in India, and I'm trying to spread the book now worldwide as well. So I left India when I was much early to follow the American dream in the U.S. And I lived in Boston, then New York, and I was working in renewable energy sector in New York. But then one night I decided to just out of nowhere, I decided to leave everything, and I kind of just went traveling. And I started by South America, where I went to Peru, and I spent time in Amazons. Then I felt really inspired in life for the first time of my life. I was like, okay, this is something really scary, but it felt really real. And then from South America, I had this calling to come back to India and really just begin this whole journey of figuring out life. And it started in Peru and it continued in in India. So I came back to India and I started writing my first book, Dream Beyond Shadows, and I started traveling around India. So I spent a lot of time in the Himalayas, in the mountains, really far-reaching, top places with learning from monks, spending time in monasteries. I did that for a long time. Then I spent time in the central parts of India, working back in the business world, and then meeting with my older family who I hadn't spent time for a long time. And then I went on pilgrimages around India. So I walked through whole of southern India, for over 800, 900 miles on my feet by myself, with no support or anything. During this time, my first book was also, was published. So I was doing community building exercises on the ground in the social media world, but I was on the ground doing it through whole of India for last many years. And now I finished writing my next book, which is based on India, and it will be coming out as soon as it's ready. So this is in brief what I've been doing for the last many years.
Beautiful. Right away, I'm really curious how the shift, your mindset in your life before your journey to South America and et cetera, and how it changed.
Yeah, I think, I was following a very capitalistic life when I was in the US, and somewhere within me, there was something missing, right? And I think a lot of individuals go through this. I'm not the first one. It was this phase where I knew there was something more to life than what I believed into through, conditionings, through societal expectations and all these things you grew up with, especially in India where the societal expectations are so high. So I think the shift happened because I just felt this urge, this calling, you can call it, in many ways, where I just knew there was more to life than what I thought there was. And I just wanted to step into the unknown, not for like 1 minute, but really just make that part of who I was. So I think it kind of just happened very spontaneously. There was no logical and rational decision making at that time. It was very intuitive, where I wasn't thinking about, practical aspects like money, my survival, all those things. I was like, something will work out. I just need to follow this. So I think it just happened, and somehow, it's been quite a challenging ride, especially coming back to India and family expectations and all that stuff. Especially the first few years were very difficult, but that's, it really inspired me as an artist to break my barriers and break my layers, to shift everything, to unlearn everything, and then learn everything from scratch, from not what they tell us, what we need to know, but discover for myself what truly is coming from me, from the world, and understanding life on a very core basis, on a very elemental basis through my own experiences. So I think one thing I always tell people is, especially in today's world, because there's so much information out there, there's so much stuff out there, and in social media, everything, like you're always constantly getting so much in that we are missing out on coming up with understanding on a basis of going inwards and creating our own depth. And this is what's needed for humanity in the long run. We need to really go inwards, connect with our elemental basis to understand who we are in a very deep, deep, deep way, which is what's missing at the moment.
So how do we go about doing that? How do we go about going inwards and discovering who we are in a deep way?
That's a good question, but it's a difficult one to answer because there is no one answer to it. You know, if I say do this, and it may happen for you, it may not. I think the key is, I say a few things to people. Is one, raising human consciousness, collective human consciousness is really, really critical in these times for humanity, because only then humanity can come together beyond the aspects of race, religion, nationality, all these things that divide us. So raising human consciousness is about, making people realize for themselves is that, we're all one in a very grand scheme of things. So going inward is, there are many approaches. You can do meditation, you can do yoga, all these paths are there, but it's really about what helps you connect with yourself in a moment. So, let's say, Kyle, you like guitar and you like playing guitar. And in that moment, while you're playing guitar, you are nowhere else but with the guitar, completely in tune with who you are and just creating music. So I think that connection with the depth comes from connecting with your creativity, connecting with your creative side, and truly understanding the aspect of how human beings are very creative beings. And, we come from seeds of creation. So I think from following your passions, from following your love of doing something that really resonates with that expression of creativity, that expression of truly creating something for the sake of creating, not because you have to for so and so reason. I think that really can allow you to connect with your true nature. And of course, spiritual practices are there. Meditation, as Jeremy does it, and many people are doing it. Yoga, many people are doing. So all these tools are there in the world right now. You can find so many people are teaching them, and they can certainly help you. But I think it's really important that humans start asking the right questions for themselves. Am I just living a very comfortable life because I am very comfortable? And am I willing to challenge myself? Am I getting out of my comfort zone? Am I willing to shift my mindset? Am I willing to question myself in my belief system? Am I willing to question my traditional approach, what I've been told to follow? So I think it all comes down to individual in this aspect, and how far they're going to go to question their belief system, who they are, really questioning everything about them. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. I like what you said as far as like your example, like playing guitar. It reminded me of something my wife told me. I think I've mentioned this before. She tried meditation before, and she's like, she didn't feel it. But then she started doing like cross stitching, and she was like, that is my meditation. It's like when I'm doing that, that's like all I'm thinking about is, just doing that. And that's when she feels like the most present. So yeah, I resonate with a lot what you're saying. Going back a little bit.
I'm going to interrupt. I think whatever brings you to the moments we're in helps you connect with that moment and detaches you from the past or the future and your thoughts. And you're just really in that moment, and that's it. Nothing else. That's it. That will right away bring you closer to who you are. Right away. That will happen.
This reminds me of like flow moments. Have you read the book Flow?
Yeah, yeah.
It was crazy. I was reading the book Flow, and for those of you who don't know what flow is, it's this book they talk about like the psychology of happiness, and it's basically like your flow moments when you're, as you said, I heard you say, detached from the past and in the future. You're just in your flow, and the more you're in that flow state, the more productive, satisfied you're going to be in your life. It was crazy. I was reading the book, and I was next to this girl. She's, oh my, that's my teacher. Random facts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it's important to, I'm going to just continue with what Jeremy said. Is I was asked recently, like, what, how to be in that flow state. So I said to the person, it's like a fine balance between discipline and surrender. So you're doing things and rituals on a daily basis, like meditation, your yoga, all these practices, your diet, and all these things that you have set on a daily basis, which kind of brings consistency in your life. At the same time, you're bringing this aspect of surrender. So my first book talks a lot about surrender, Dream Beyond Shadows. It's all about complete surrender to life. And when you surrender with a lot of, with the intention of not holding anything back, it allows you to really come in the moment and just let things happen and unfold as it does. Like a river, river is just flowing. It's not thinking about where to flow, how to flow, where to come from, where is it going to go. It's just flowing. So when we humans come into that state of, by having that surrender in our beings and having built up with our consistent practices of discipline, and when the two meet, that flow state can be achieved. And we don't work according to the time of 9 to 5, industrious way of working. We actually flow and we create a lot more than we were capable of before, and we are way more productive than we were before. So, I don't use time much. Like, I only use time because I have to do these slides and all this stuff. But I don't use alarms. I don't use time as a concept because it kind of holds you back from being in that flow state and just flowing with life.
This reminds me of, like, today I was thinking of this exact thing. I have a tendency historically to hold on to things that don't no longer serve me or are no longer normal. Like, I remember I miss those days, or blah 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 blah. I miss, or like an ex-girlfriend. Wow, that was so great. It's like holding on to things that are just not real anymore. It prevents us, as you said, from just being present and creating and being happy.
Yeah, this is a big challenge, not just you, Jeremy. I think most of humanity struggles with this, including myself, that we are constantly driven by this attachment to our memories, to our past, which isn't even real. It's gone. It doesn't matter. Whatever happened, happened. And, the memories come into our mind, and we let those memories affect us in this moment, and we're hurting ourselves by doing that. If we just let the memory come in, just observe it like an observer and let it go without, playing with it, we right away bring ourselves back into this moment and break those patterns. So I think many a times when people learn meditation or they do meditation, I think the teachers don't explain it to them that meditation isn't just about being calm or peaceful. It's about breaking patterns. It's about breaking your set patterns, about how you've been conditioned into living through whatever life you have lived in this planet. So it's about breaking those patterns. It's about breaking your habitual habits that you had before, which were not helping you. And ultimately, all of it is to bring you back into this moment so that you can elevate in yourself.
Yeah, I like that. Makes me think of when I first started meditating. And I thought the goal was just to not think, to have no thoughts at all, and it made it so hard or really impossible to
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, it is. As what's his name? The guy who did Vipassana meditation and brought it like worldwide. Goenka.
Deepak Chopra.
No, Goenka. S.N.
Oh, S.N.
Goenka.
Goenka. Yeah.
I did a 10-day meditation retreat like through S.N. Goenka. He wasn't alive, but he had all his recordings, and it was just like, it was reprogramming my brain. And it was just this, I saw on such a powerful level how my brain works, and I was just in denial about it because I have all these distractions of life just preventing from doing that. And this is exactly what you said. Just like our brain is like a wild monkey. It goes wild, and it's about taming it slowly. And like I don't want to talk too much about myself, but we're in this, I'm very reactive. Like something happens, I react. And like I choose whether I react or not. And people think that like reactions are just part of our DNA when they're not. Like I can choose if something happens, like to not react at all, just observe it and not react. And it's practicing that. And I think it's also, for me, it's also about like being okay and having empathy towards myself during that practice.
Yeah, and it takes lifetime. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of consistent practicing doing that, but it can change your life. And I think I like what you said, that we're not reactive by nature. And I agree with that. In our ultimate form, when our consciousness rises, we are not reactive beings. We're very active beings, but we don't react. We take in, we sink in, and we do things from a very natural state, an organic place, which is what's missing in humanity. That's why, news and media outlets, the mainstream media nowadays, it's playing on people reaction. Like that's what it's inciting among people. It just wants reaction, and it's capturing that reaction, and it's showcasing that reaction. And it could be fake in many ways, either in social medias or on media, on TV. And constantly we're living in this world at the moment, especially in the last 5-10 years, where most of the humanity is busy reacting. And it's kind of taking us away from our sense of purpose of coming back here and just being, and then acting on the basis of when we have first thought about what we want to say and how we want to say it. The listening, thinking, and observing part is missing at the moment. This is what I really feel. It's really missing. Like there's no observation anymore. There's no proper thinking, like thinking as in free thinking based on what you think, not based on what other people told you or what you read from somewhere, from memes and fake news and blah, blah, blah. Like, what do you think, really? Go down. Have you ever challenged your thought process? Have you ever asked yourself, where does this thought come from? Where does it come from? Who put that in your mind? Where does it come from? So I think when we start asking these questions, we go deep into ourselves, we start changing those patterns, and we start unwiring our entire system. It's really important to do that, especially in these times.
Man, it resonates with me so much, especially in the times we're in, and just people having set certain belief systems and never understanding or questioning those belief systems.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard, but it's also something that I did a video on this one time where like someone, like I have a belief about something, and then someone will say something differently, and like that, I'll completely shift my belief to what they said, as opposed to like, I had a whole thought. Why did I just throw that away?
But I think that's in some ways that's good, because you're willing to listen and you're willing to take their views into account. And I think it's important. It's really important. Before we question other people's beliefs and ideas and thoughts, it's important for us to question our beliefs, ideas, and thoughts. Where does it come from? And, either in the Western society or in the Eastern societies, wherever we go in the world, I think free thinking is one critical aspect of coming back to our humanity. We need to be free thinkers more and more, and we need to encourage that. And this goes to both you can be liberal and not be free thinker at all, because you have these strict ideas about how things should be, which in some ways can be actually very radical as well. So it's really important for any side on political spectrum or anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter where you stand, it's really important to question your own belief system, your own thought process, and think freely. It's really important, in my opinion.
Yeah, I had something come up. I thought it was important. I think I've heard so much people saying don't judge others, and I like the idea in theory, but it's not realistic in my opinion. Like we judge, that's what we do. Like I'm not going to touch this hot pot because it's going to be hot. I judge it's going to be hot. Like we're just naturally, judgers. So for me personally, I think for a shift in our consciousness and a change in our systemic, society is to yeah, exactly. Like be okay with the judgments, but be very, very open to challenging those judgments.
Also, it's important to be aware of it. So, let's say you're going through every day and somebody did something, you don't even know the person, and a judgment pops up into your head. And you can just observe that judgment and be aware of it, because we're all humans. It will happen. It's not, nobody's perfect. We'll judge other people. They will judge us, and that's okay. It just goes on. So I think it's important to bring awareness into that moment, into that thought, and also know that, this judgment is not so important at the moment. It's going to pass. Like most of the judgments you had about somebody a year ago from now, you probably don't even remember them. So a lot of what we think in that moment, it's very momentarily, it passes away, and then it doesn't matter. So I think it's important to just be aware of it in that moment and know how it's affecting us. And if it's affecting us negatively, like right away try and stop it. Or if it's kind of just coming and you're just observing, so just letting it go and move on from your life. I think it's important to just kind of go and then move on.
Rise and pass.
Easier. Yeah. Your life will be simpler.
Kyle, you have a question?
Yeah, I do. So one question we like to ask all our guests is, if you had the ability to send one message to everybody in the world, what would it be?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Thank you.
I really think that humans need to come back to themselves. I truly believe that we are, as humanity, we are not coming from a place, our natural state of coming in this world is coming from a place of love, from kindness, from forgiveness and compassion. This is something that naturally comes in human beings. But the way we have raised ourselves, the way we have created these systems around the world, we have created a lot of hatred, a lot of division and anger and all these things that really divides humanity and kind of takes us away from our purpose. So one message I really want people to believe, and this I remind this to myself as well, is come back to little things about just following as much as following a path where love and compassion and unity is a prime focus in your life, and however that may manifest, because that is really our organic true side as humanity. Like this is what comes naturally. We're naturally more loving and kind and compassionate for other beings than not. And I think most humans who think it's not the case, it's not true. We naturally love. Hatred is something we learn over time. Anger is something we develop over time. And it's something that's keeping us from raising our consciousness and also coming together as a species. So that's my message.
Beautiful. I love it so much. And then can people buy your book, Dream Beyond Shadows, in America yet, or are you working on that?
Yeah. No, they can on Amazon.com. It's available. So they can buy the book over there as well. It's all available.
I want to read it.
Thanks.
And for those that are looking to find you on the social media platforms, where can they find you?
Will you be tagging this video? Okay, so they can just find me at Kartikeya Ladha on Instagram, and yeah, simple.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you so much. It was really nice to be on your show, and I wish you both my best wishes, and hope your show keeps on growing and you both prosper and all the good things for both of you. And stay safe. I know America been growing a lot of cases, so stay safe, stay healthy, and keep spreading the love.
Spread the love, not the virus.
Yeah. Exactly.